Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been, I believe, watching recently. I'm Terry.
I'm Mary Beth. We've been going through a lot of technical issues to get this started, but you know what? We're here. And this week, we're talking about the best horror movie of the year, in Mary Beth's opinion. Sinful Sharks, a new kind of rape revenge, a Korean ghost slasher monster movie, the saddest zombie movie of all time, and then, what a week, huh?
Mary Beth, it's Wednesday. Literally.
I know. It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is only Wednesday, my dudes. Really quick, I did rewatch Incantation, and I rescind my previous assessment. I quite like that movie. It is very good.
Okay, so. I need to finally watch it.
I would.
Okay.
I liked it quite a bit. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I rewatched it, and have actually watched it and wasn't just like exhausted. So, yeah. 10 out of 10.
Awesome.
But yes, wanted to drop that real quick at the top of the ep.
And of course, we have Purpurina in the chat, and the first thing she says is, "You know what else you finally need to watch?" I'm not gonna say it. LOL. Does it rhyme with? Matinee 1993. I do need to watch Matinee. That was almost a pick from someone on the show because she thought for the longest time that she saw The Fly, and it turned out she just saw one segment of Matinee. But yeah, so there's that, and then she chose a different movie, which was a fantastic movie to watch. But yeah, that was almost a movie on this podcast. I've never seen it. Is it Joe Dante?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know shit. Sorry, that was aggressive.
All right. Let's talk about the best. I mean, this is pretty ballsy, but the best horror movie of the year. Let's hear it. I think I know what it is.
I know. So, okay, I can finally talk about it. The embargo is up as of this week, so I've decided to talk about it. I'm going to talk about Longlegs because I have seen it, and I know that it doesn't come out for a bit, but it's real fucking good, y'all. I know that I'm not sure if I talked about it on air on the podcast or just like to you, but I've been like so worried that the hype machine is too much for this one. And as much as I don't want to be part of that hype machine, I am unfortunately going to be part of it because it is really fucking good. It is haunting. It is rancid vibes. It is unnerving. It is just like everything that the weird cryptic marketing is teasing and more. Nick Cage is incredible, but Micah Monroe is really, really amazing. This is like career-defining performance for her because she plays this FBI agent who has these like mildly psychic abilities and is embraced at the bureau in this version, which is very funny. And They like use her to help solve the Longlegs case. They're like, how can we use her to help us solve this like decades-old case that we haven't been able to close? There aren't many connections other than like all of the victims are families with a young daughter, but everything else feels so random. And he leaves a cipher at every crime scene. And as soon as she joins the case, things start getting weird. And yeah, there's just a lot of really weird shit going on. And I just absolutely, I think Osgood Perkins is like a hit or miss with some people.
Yeah.
I think that this one's going to probably be the great equalizer because it's not it's scary, like,
Okay,
constantly.
I was gonna ask if it was actually scary, because like rancid vibes can be one thing, but is it scary?
It's scary. Like, the
Okay.
opening is like a terrifying opening, and like, I say this in my review, it's not a spoiler, like, it's not, this is, it gets supernatural. Like, and it's not afraid to it's like playing with those serial killer expectations, but also it's going further than they usually do. It's, instead of being like, oh, they were just like weird cultists, it was like, oh no, there's like some weird shit like really going on here. But it's also like very unknowable and bizarre, but deeply frightening. Um, is kind of how I saw it. It scared me more than I expected. I definitely, so I saw it in LA, and I had to like go into my hotel room that night, and I was briefly scared to walk into my hotel room that night just
Oh
because of
wow.
like
Okay.
how unsettling a lot of these the shots are, how unsettling Nicolas Cage's character is, how unsettling the whole premise is. Um, yeah, I don't want to. It's like hard. It's like hard to talk about because I don't want to like. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that you don't want to like overhype and spoil, but also like it is as good as people have been hoping.
I'm excited because I love The Black Coat's Daughter. I thought I Am the
Yeah.
Pretty Thing That Lives in the House had one good moment in it, and the rest of it was really boring to me. And I
Yeah.
have not seen Gretel and Hansel, but I love the way he shoots things. I love
So
the feels of his movie. I found I Am the Pretty Thing to be really, really boring.
yeah, I fell asleep during that one, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I liked the ideas. I just think it was like too slow.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really loved Gretel. I loved Gretel and Hansel. And so, but so this is kind of like, it's a weird, like, kind of feels like an equalizer
Okay.
of his filmography so far. I feel like this one is going to be the most accessible,
Okay.
which is weird to say because I'm not even sure it's accessible. But like, I've compared it I compared it to Silence of the Lambs, and I stand by it. Like, this is kind of like a modern day Silence of the Lambs without like the weird transphobia of it all. There's going to be some interesting discussions about Nicolas Cage, which will be kind of cool. Not that that's not like a spoiler or anything, but yeah, it's definitely very much has Silence of the Lambs vibes, but
Okay.
like much bleaker and more nihilistic.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
no real spoilers, but I just want to know, with a title called Longlegs, am I going to have problems with this movie?
No, there's
Okay.
no, yeah, no. A valid question, but no, you'll be fine.
I didn't
Yeah.
think so, but I just wanted to verify because I
No,
forgot the
very good
conversation.
question.
I forgot the conversation that we had with Arkasha and about the first Omen, and that was way too much spiders for me. I was like,
Yeah,
ah.
yeah. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, because I was like, fucking surprise spiders.
Yes. No, there are not surprise spiders in this one that I can remember now.
Okay.
So you are all good.
Perfect.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking talking about Longlegs and Misu decides to open the fucking
I
door
know.
behind me.
And that had like
That
sheer
is
creaky door
insane.
energy right there.
I know. But yeah, so I highly, highly recommend Longlegs when it comes out. It's very much going to be worth seeing in theaters, if you are comfortable with seeing it in theaters. So yeah. I think pivoting to something a little bit different here though is Sinful Sharks.
I couldn't resist. So I wanted to talk about this last week. I was really sick last week.
Yes.
Work has been also really exhausting. So I have not been able to watch much new stuff since then, but the two movies that I wanted to talk about are recently out, and so I'm very excited to chat with them. One of them is Under Paris, the Xavier Gens shark movie, which is on Netflix right now. Have you seen it, Mary Beth?
I haven't watched it yet, no. Steve wanted to watch the first Omen instead, and how could I say no to that?
I mean, you can't say no to that. What? Okay. Under Paris is like the missing link between Jaws and Deep Blue Sea,
Okay.
if that makes
Oh, that's a
sense.
good. I like that comparison.
So it is it 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 takes place in France, in the Seine River, I guess. I'm not sure.
The River Seine.
Seine. Okay, so it takes place in the Seine River, and the cold open is it establishes our main character Sophia, who is a marine biologist. She's out there with a team that are tracking like sharks that have like a little tag that they've tagged. They come across one of the largest floating islands, quote unquote, of plastic in the ocean, and there's like a set piece of them in the plastic with sharks. There's a big environmental message on this film that gets increasingly more
Okay.
pointed as the movie goes on in interesting ways, in ways that I will not spoil because they're so delightful.
Okay.
But basically, an attack happens, bad shit happens, and then we cut to a couple years later, and Sophia is working in France. She gets approached by a sort of Gen Z activist who is worried about sharks, and her big thing is that they hack into the trackers, and when they find that someone is trying to poach sharks, they kill the tracker so that no one can use it to find them. And she discovers
Oh.
that the shark that attacked and killed Sophia's husband and traumatized the team is for some reason in the fresh water of the Seine River in France. Why is a shark from the salt water in fresh water? It's a good question. And the movie kind of goes from there. And this is like it's like a sci-fi movie, but done really well. That
Okay.
also mixes in like Jaws moments and some really, in my opinion, smart Jaws homages. But the direction that this movie
Okay.
goes in the end, I desperately need people to watch this because I want a sequel. Because without spoiling anything, the direction this place goes, I need a sequel.
Okay.
It's a blast.
Sharks and toilets. Okay.
It's a
Well,
blast.
this is good to know because I really want to watch it. I just like haven't.
Yeah.
I have.
This is a fun movie to get your imbibing of choice and uh vibe with it. It has some great set pieces. It has some great kills. There's a lot of really fun moments in this. And the ending, the
Okay.
climax is just it's perfect.
I've heard the climax is nuts.
It is. It's nuts. Oh my gosh, I
But
should host a Netflix party again. It's been so
oh, that would be
long.
fun.
Ugh, maybe I will. But yeah, so Under Paris on Netflix. Go watch it if you have Netflix. It is a blast.
Cool.
Pivoting again sharply, a new kind of rape revenge.
So this is a movie that was like not on my radar at all, and I got a DM from Molly Henry, friend of the show, about a movie called An Angry Boy that was hitting festivals and was about to come out, and um, they were looking, just for some more attention. It's like a very, micro budget movie, and so I ended up checking it out, and it is the story of a boy, an angry one, who is kind of like a vigilante. He's like does vigilante stuff, and he's on the run, not on the run, but like kind of hiding from something that happened to him as a kid, but he doesn't really remember. And from a series of unfortunate circumstances, the group that kidnapped him as a kid finds him again and is trying to make his life living hell. And what we find out is that he was basically the target of like a pedophilia ring, and this
Oh
becomes
God.
him trying to get revenge on the men who molested him as a child. Which, yes, it does not sound very uplifting, and it is a lot. There isn't. extensive sexual assault shown. This is another one of those, like, kind of a newer rape revenge movie that talks about the topic but doesn't necessarily revel in the actual pain of the victim. But it becomes this like really interesting look at repression and PTSD and revenge, especially when it comes to men being sexually assaulted, because as we've talked about before, that's never really discussed in the subgenre of rape revenge. So this is an interesting kind of mix of like grindhouse sensibilities, but with a contemporary topic and handling it properly, and kind of showing how deeply this kinds of behaviors are integrated into society in a way that I find like incredibly important and interesting. And the movie is not perfect. It's kind of clunky in some of its parts, some of its acting, but its lead, Scott Kallenberger, is really incredible. He's really, really good as the lead, the titular angry boy. And Eric Roberts is in it as like a creepy, like kind of a creepy leader figure, which, he's only in it for a bit, but he kills it as this creepy dude. So it's definitely like rough around the edges, but I also think a really important movie about a topic that we never see discussed ever in like the subgenre or like really in film at all, other than like kind of like tragic side stories about people. And so I just kind of want to bring attention to, God damn, Jesus Christ. Just the movie that I think is an important like genre film that is easily going to go under the radar, and if I can help maybe get some more love out to it, I would love to. So, as someone who loves female directed rape revenge, I also got to put, respect on people who make rape revenge movies about men handling the topic as well. So, yeah, it's not obviously not an easy watch, but if that's something, a subgenre that you're interested in or it sounds interesting to you, I definitely check it out. It's out now on streaming.
Oh,
So
is it? Okay. I was gonna ask.
yeah, yep.
I
Yeah.
you said that Eric Roberts is creepy, and every single time I think of Eric Roberts now, I again think of 30 Rock, because there's a Jenna Maroney moment where she says, "I didn't give up when Eric Roberts abandoned me in the desert, and I won't now."
It's
that's
good.
that's the only input I have on that. But
Yep. I like it. I like it.
well,
But yeah.
good.
So I would recommend, if that is of interest. I know those movies aren't for everybody, but yeah. Just keeping on with the rape revenge movies, everyone. As a note, I'm submitting my movie to festivals, everyone. Isn't that exciting?
It's so exciting
Ah.
and nerve-wracking, I'm
Anywho,
sure.
getting perceived is my worst nightmare. Um, once again, another swing, and I'm so excited for this movie. This is what I think it is, this Korean ghost slasher monster movie.
Yeah, leave it up to Korean genre films to like just completely change their tone multiple times in a movie. So
Yep,
this is also out now as well. It's called Exhuma. I believe it's also coming to Shudder later this month.
yep.
So it's out on VOD if you want to watch it. It might be in theaters still, but it's also coming to Shudder, and it reminded me a lot of The Wailing. Um,
Yeah.
and it's about a varied group of people who are hired to excavate a grave, and by doing so, unleash multiple somethings, possibly. They unleash an evil spirit that it ends up turning into kind of a slasher movie, and then it goes from there.
Uh-huh.
The, I I really enjoyed this movie. It's a lot, and it just every single time I'm like getting the hang of what is going on. It like takes a complete right turn again, and I'm like, okay. Now, what I will say is that this feels very culturally significant for South Korea, particularly with their relationship, their strained relationship and historical relationship with Japan, and so that sort of
Yeah.
is it's about that, but it's also sort of about I would say like generational wealth and greed, kind of as well, and I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it. I will say that it's a trip. I do think going with the Wailing comparison, the Wailing for me is a better movie, but this does take some hard swings and is it's never not entertaining. I have to say. What did you've seen this too? What did you think about this, Mary Beth? Because you watched it literally like right the day I think maybe before I saw it, or like a couple days before.
Yeah, because Chad Collins reviewed it for the website for Dread Central, and I was like, I need to see this movie post haste. Like, I need to see it like badly. So I got a screening link for it, and I I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but then I was like, never mind, this fucking rules. And because I was really vibing with the first half of it,
Yeah.
and then you realize there's another hour and change left, and you're like, what possibly else could happen here? And then something crazy happens, and then you're just like, oh,
And then you think what could
what?
possibly happen here, and then something crazy happens again. I I'm with
Yeah,
you. I do think I my favorite part is the first hour for me.
yeah,
And it's because it's like it's very mysterious. There's like this lone grave up on a hill. The ground around it is rotten, and the coffin has been buried vertically. So like there's a lot of weirdness going on, and trying to figure out what is happening was really interesting to me. And then there's also this like curse where um this family's firstborn boys all end up dying. And so like there's a lot of that kind of going into this that I found the very beginning to be very very interesting and very intriguing and mysterious, and it grabbed my attention. It veers again into some completely different subgenres, and I didn't for me find that as successful, but it was still an entertaining blast.
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, it follows in the footsteps of movies, kind of even like Project Wolf Hunting and
Oh
kind
yeah.
of and things like that, where it starts as one movie that you really like and then turns into something even crazier that you either really love or you're like, why the fuck did it go there? And but I respect it because it's a really awesome swing in terms of looking at religious horror and also
Hmm.
like national trauma and the hand that Japan played in that national trauma, but then also like how that trauma was exploited by other Koreans. I think
Yep.
it's really, really it's excuse me, wow, a really interesting like navigation of all that stuff. And also there's like a badass female shaman in it, and she's such a bad bitch. And everyone in this movie is also really hot too. Like to
Yeah.
be perfectly honest, like everyone just like is perfectly like well dressed, and everything is like in their place, and then they're also just like really good at their jobs. And they're my favorite is oh fuck, hold on, I'm forgetting his name, and he's great. He's an old boy. It's kind of a Choi Min Sik, who
Yeah.
plays Old Boy, the Old Boy, and Old Boy also is in this movie in Exhuma as a geomancer, which is a job that I would very much like. But I also think it sounds like a very important job in Korea because I don't think, from what I glean from this, there's like very specific ways and places to be buried that has like good energy and everything like that. And his job is to kind of find the best places to bury people. And he knows every inch of Korea, but doesn't know this because this is not good land to be buried on. So it's like just a very interesting look into like Korean culture and religious culture and history that was neat. It integrated really well into the story, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. In fact, like I was watching this and I'm like, I feel like I am missing out on a lot of cultural significance. Like I knew about the strained relationship with Japan and Korea. I know about the some of the historical stuff that went on, but I was like, I went down a rabbit hole. I did find Joe Lipsett, friend of the show, Joe Lipsett, and my friend, his review of Exhuma, um, linked to a Korean Times article that talks about burial traditions, and that was a fascinating read.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I think that it's one of those movies where I think the horror and what it's doing is so rooted in um, a country's identity that
Yeah.
I appreciated it, but like I do think that if you are a scholar of Korean history or you are from Korea, that you would probably um, it would probably make a lot more sense to you initially on a watch. And yes, Tony, he is
Yeah.
also in I Saw the Devil.
Yes, he is the scary serial killer, and I saw the devil. Choi Min-sik, specifically.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's
Oh,
Exuma.
yeah.
Again, it's out on VOD. It's also it'll be on Shutter. So I would
Preparing, so
recommend
you
it.
want to do a double feature with this and The Wailing? I don't know. That's a long time. But they're both pretty. They're like both like 2.5 hours. So,
Yeah.
but you also like RRR. So I don't know. But up to you. But be warned, they're long.
They are.
3 times the other day. All right, fair enough.
You got
Fair
this.
enough.
Okay. The saddest zombie movie of all time. Oh, is this the Swedish film? Is it
So
Swedish?
this is Norwegian
Norwegian.
technically. Yeah, Norwegian. So this is Handling the Undead. This is the new zombie movie from Norway coming out. It's based on a John Ashvede Lindqvist book. He wrote Let the Right One In,
Mm-hmm.
which is iconic and incredible. I have not read this book because it made me too sad when I knew about it, and the movie is fucking upsetting. So, and I feel like it's a movie that people are either going to really like or really not vibe with, and I think that's exactly what the director, her name is Thea Vistendahl. I am so sorry if I got that wrong. But the movie basically follows 3 families. It's like a triptych. Follows 3 families are who are navigating like recent grief, and then one day there is a very hot day in Oslo, and the power goes out, everyone gets a really bad headache, and then all of a sudden the dead are coming back to life. And in a couple instances, like, and there's 3 stories. So in one story, a mother has buried her son, and then they discover when they're sitting by his graveside that he's knocking on the coffin. So they dig him up and
Oof.
get him out of his coffin. And another one, there's a recent death like that day in the family. And then there is another one where a woman loses her wife, and then her wife wanders into the house as like a zombie from the morgue. So, and it becomes this like really fucking harrowing, sad meditation on like grieving while the person is with you. And like, because these people come back, but they don't talk. They're not themselves. They're kind of just like a hollow shell. They're not really engaging. They're just there. Um, but then sometimes they show these like really weird moments of violence. So it's mostly focused on just like the human experience of trying to cope with the fact that your loved one is alive, but not really. It is so beautifully shot, and it is so beautifully rendered, but it is really hard to watch. Like, it's not really like that visually disturbing except for one part, but I think it's just so heavy with like how it's discussing death and the experience of death and the experience of grief. It's just like it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, it reminded me. I think it was a French series, and I'm trying to find the name of it because I cannot remember what it was called now. But it had a kind of similar presence where one day the dead come back to life, and I really wish I could remember what it's called. But it kind of reminded me of the premise of this one a little bit. I forgot that this was based on that book by the Let the Right One In guy.
Yeah. Cause I haven't, I want to read it now.
Yeah.
But it is very good. It's just going to make you very sad.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that.
Yeah, I got the screener and then I got sick. So I
Yeah,
haven't had a
no, it's
chance
like
to.
definitely not something you want to watch when you're sick.
And I knew that I knew that it was going to be sad. Like I knew that it was going to be sad. Yes, the
Yep.
returned. Yes. The returned. Yes. Thank you, Tony. That is what I'm thinking of.
Cool. But yeah, so that is handling the undead. Would definitely recommend if you are not above being a little bit sad.
Put that on the poster.
Yeah. Great for you if you aren't afraid of feeling a little bit sad. Woo!
Yeah.
But now, to go into happier territory. We are now
Pivoting
on season
hard
4.
again.
Yep, we're on season 4 of 30 Rock.
Dun, 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 dun. So, what did you think of let's start with season 4, which again is called season 4, which is a great little meta moment.
Blasters! You take a something, stuff it in a dun-dun, roll it in a pizza.
You take a hot dog, stuff it with some jack cheese, fold it in a pizza. You got cheesy blasters, and all the kids say, "Thanks, Meat Cat," and the Meat Cat flies away on his skateboard.
Yep.
I haven't watched this show way too much or anything.
No, not a little bit at all. So I watched this and my brain is just like, I didn't take notes because I was like editing a video today, but season 4 has, of course, a very nice meta beginning of welcome to season 4 when they talk, and then they're acting like it's the 4 seasons as a restaurant, which ha ha ha, very good.
Yeah.
But here is also the very big. It's this. There's a lot of strikes going on here. We're dealing with the recession in the beginning of season 4, really getting off to a bang in the first episode.
Yep. Having to be Johnny America, where we're talking about the
Comrade Obama.
We're talking about the financial crisis, the car crisis. We're talking about like all of that, and we have a strike where Kenneth the Page realizes that not only has 30 Rock canceled. NBC canceled all of their overtime for Pages, and he works like I don't think he even sleeps. But they've canceled the overtime. But then he ends up getting Jack Donaghy's check, which he first mistakes for being like a check and then finds out it's a bonus check, and there are so many zeros. So, of course, we have the CEOs making tons of profit while the lowest paid part of NBC is not allowed to work overtime.
Yep. And then we also have Jack saying that they need to get new cast members, but they can't let Jenna and Tracy know, because if they do, they'll go crazy. And we do find that out, especially when we see Jenna go, "If you cast another blonde, I will kill myself." And then Tracy also says, "If you cast another blonde, I will kill myself," which, of course, we love Tracy.
Best joke. This is by far one of my favorite jokes because it's coming from a place of character. So like you understand when she says this that she doesn't want another blonde woman because it will take attention away from her. Whereas Tracy is saying it because he's like, that bitch is crazy. I don't need another one of them. And so it's hilarious. I find it
It's
so
hilarious.
funny.
It's so funny. And then we also see Tracy trying to act like an everyday person and act like he isn't like a very rich man with lots of money. And it's very funny to be like, haha, see? And the water falls all over your bed that's shaped like your head. And it's like, no,
Do you want to
no.
hold hands with a black millionaire? He just he's so
Oh, and Steve
delightful.
Buscemi makes a fucking appearance again as like the strike buster, but really he is absolutely terrible, and I love his character. Um, Especially when he comes back from trying to break up the strike, he comes up in a blonde and said, "No one fell for the nympho co-ed."
Fifi LaRue.
Fifi LaRue, but it's just him in a fucking blonde wig, and then Jack Donaghy goes over and gives a picture of Jesus, and then picks up a picture of fucking Nixon. It's like, Nixon, what would you do? I'm like, this fucking show, this fucking show.
My other favorite line from Steve Buscemi is when he says, "They used to call me the chameleon because of my slender frame and my big wet eyes." Because it's it's again, it's that reversal of expectation where he's like, "Can you
A
infiltrate
big
and
wet
take him
eye.
down?" And he's like, "Yeah, they call me the chameleon." But then of course it's not because he's any good at Fifi LaRue.
God, he's so funny. It's just. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about the joke at the beginning of the next episode that just keeps making me laugh. But I I just love this show.
Yeah.
I just love it.
And my other thing that just cracks me up all the time is where they're trying to figure out the show's on strike. The actors have gone on strike because they don't want new cast members, and then they're trying to figure out. Pete and Liz are trying to figure out what to do with the show. And she's like, we could run episode blah 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 blah. And Pete's like, no, that's the episode where Tracy tore up the picture of the Pope. And then he goes on about like, it's because of it was the Pope who did, I forget what he does, but it's for like some random historical reason, and not why Sinead O'Connor cut it up. But it's so random and funny.
It's so random and funny. But then so we end with Kenneth getting what he wants, but just a picture that says he's stupid. That says that where Jack Donaghy says he's stupid instead of anything actually like of
Nothing gets
substance for the
solved.
pages. Nothing is solved, but they were like, was this just for some personal beef with Jack? And they were like,
No,
no.
it wasn't.
Also, just a quick note at the beginning where Liz is like, "Yeah, take a hot dog," like, and Jack Donaghy is just watching her and kind of like dancing a little bit, and like it's just like very cute.
It
He's just like,
is.
no, yeah. So quite a way, an incredible way. It's like this is only the first episode, and it's already starting off this way. So again, they're bringing in our first week back, and
Hmm.
was already like this is happening. So
And the meta-ness gets like, I think as the show goes on, it gets even more meta. Like this was a turning point. There are moments in the season where they will break the
mm.
fourth wall, and Liz looks directly at the camera like, like, and get ready. Like it's just, there's a lot of moments like that I think the show is embracing. I honestly think that at this point they're like, we are lucky that we have gotten 4 seasons, because it was, people watched the show, but it wasn't a ratings hit, and so there was always concern that it wasn't going to come back.
Mm.
And so I do think by this season they're just sort of like, let's just go with it.
Fuck it.
And then we have Into the Crevasse, which has one of my favorite
Another successful interaction with a man.
blammo.
Blammo. Another successful interaction with a man.
So this one
God,
is where Liz's book, The Deal Breakers, based on last season's shenanigans, has come out. The cold open is she sees it in like a bookstore as one of the workers is stocking the shelves of it, and she's like, that's me, that's me. And he pulls open the Deal Breakers book and points to, if your man is in his 30s and still wears a name tag, that's a deal breaker. She's like, but not you, not you, as he is like tearing up her standee. And it's just, it just opens up a lot of worms for her this episode, where she
It
just
really does.
is getting it from everyone.
Everyone's when everyone's just like, why would you do these things and use my life and write about me? And she goes, fuck. Like, just having to navigate writing that book and becoming popular, but then also still dealing with pissed off actors, especially Tracy, who gets kicked out because of what his wife read in the book, and he now lives with Liz. And boy, oh boy, is that a fun time
Shows up
for
with a reef
all.
shark. Just put him in a tub
And
with a reef.
adopts a bunch of dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the other thing that I was gonna bring up? Oh, the Tracy buys. My favorite is it culminates in Tracy being like, all right, well, I'm gonna buy your life rights and use them to make something humiliating, and then she ends up writing it, and it's a porn based on the entire situation. Thanks for giving me the hot porn girl, Liz.
And it's the porn that brings everyone back together, which the lead up to that is, again, another funny moment for me was Jenna is taken a student werewolf movie that's filming in Iceland
Yes, that's right.
as a moon scientist who, spoiler alert, may in fact be a werewolf herself.
And they have to film, but they can only film when the sun goes down. It only goes down for like a minute in Iceland in the summer.
And when she finally gets back, because they cancel it, because they literally, like, there's one scene where they're filming her and she's like, wait, which hand was the flashlight in? And she puts in the other hand, and then they yell action, and then it's daylight, and they just have lost their option. So she comes home and she's like, I have to go home sick now. And Liz is like, oh, you're still angry at me? She's like, no, I have mercury poisoning for obsessively taking my rectal temperature.
Oh, I love this stupid show.
But the
Oh my
reason,
god.
like the big reason that I wanted like, I think this episode's great, but the big reason I wanted to show it is because the gif that keeps on giving across Twitter is from this episode, where Liz and Jack are walking down the hallway at the very end, and she's like, what a week, huh? And he's like, Lemon, it's Wednesday.
Oh, I feel it so deep in my heart, my soul, my body. It's such an accurate statement.
And then even Tracy gets grossed out by the porno that they're filming, because the last line of it is, this is disgusting, shut it down.
Oh man. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, so I think we're just going in order next
Yeah,
week, right?
we sure are. We're continuing with
Okay, cool.
a longer storyline about the new actor.
Okay. Fabulous.
We're trying to
Very
get the new
excited.
actor. So yeah, so next week we are continuing with episodes 3 and 4, Stone Mountain, in which Liz and Jack end up going to Kenneth's hometown, and then Audition Day, which we finally find out who the new cast member is going to be.
Wow.
One thing I will point out, that it's in this last episode, there's the moment where Jack talks about how, because the other like sub story, because there's so many sub stories in 30 Rock that I love, but in this particular one, like, the microwave is kind of waning, and so he's
Oh,
trying
that's
to build a new microwave, and they end up building a Pontiac Aztec, I think is
the
what it was,
Aztec. We built the Pontiac Aztec.
which was hilariously discontinued like a couple years before this, and so it's again a very not so subtle jab at the automobile industry at this point. But what I love is that he makes a comment about how, like, there's a comment about how, like, where was it, um the heyday for the microwave has, like, really gone down from the 50s, and we get a music video of of, like, and Kenneth is in it. I don't know if you noticed, but Kenneth is in
No,
it.
I didn't know.
He is in it. He is dancing in it because one of the jokes that starts to happen across the entire show is that Kenneth might be immortal because he starts making comments about like his prom's theme was life under the Jim Crow laws, and then like he brings up that he's in this, and he just keeps showing up in historical things, and there's the idea that he might be immortal.
Okay. Hell yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, wild. but but yes, episodes 3 and 4 next week. I cannot wait. Audition day is again one of my absolute favorites. With the zaniness. But who are we talking with on Monday, Mary Beth?
Yay! On Monday, we're chatting with Dread Central staff writer Chad Collins, my friend, my baby, and he brought with him Darkness Falls. Iconic. Absolutely iconic.
This
So,
movie.
rewatch that if you want before our discussion on Monday.
What a wild film.
God, what a wild film. Man, oh man. Anywho, listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch something that we watched and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for 30 Rock episodes that I really need to see? You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. Or social media, actually, not just Twitter. I'm at MB on Twitter, and I'm also at mb.mcandrews on Instagram.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on social media. You can follow us on Twitter and on Twitter and Blue Sky at Scarred Podcast, and on Instagram at Scarred for Life Podcast.
I'm telling you, we don't record in like 2 weeks, and it's like, wait, what are we saying?
Yeah, I know.
And don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. Yeah.
And support us on Patreon if you don't already. Thank you, Eric Power, for artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.